Welcome, my beautiful souls. Today we are going to do, I say this all the time, but a special little reading. Um, I started a series where I'm looking at compatibility between the different signs. And while I was doing that, I kept getting this like, I don't know what to call it, like a calling to do an actual reading. And it's interesting because these questions came to me um, through my intuition. But what we're going to do, this is for love, by the way, I should say that. Um, Really, it's for those who are wondering when love is going to show up in their lives or, when you're going to cross paths with that special person. Um, this can also be someone of course, whatever it may be. But let me tell you what questions we're going to ask. Number one, and the reason why I write them down is because to me, that is me handing it over to our spirit guides. We are going directly to our guides with these questions. So, number one, what's blocking me from inviting love into my life? And by the way, when I say me, I, it's just because I'm literally you. Um, I'm your energy right now. So, what's blocking me from inviting love into my life? Number two, what can I do to prepare myself for the arrival of love? Now, again, these questions came to me intuitively. So that makes me feel like, okay, love is going to arrive. But let's keep going. Number three, what qualities will my potential partner have? And then I put down in parentheses a bit of a clue. Like this should give you a bit of a clue also. I definitely want you to use your intuition, especially in this type of reading. Number four, how can I recognize and welcome this love when it arrives? How can I recognize and welcome this love when it arrives? And last but certainly not least, number five, what lessons from my past relationships can help me in my future love life? So, what have I learned from the past? Well, we'll just see what comes up. I don't want to put any of my thoughts on top of that. So, I'm calling it Love's Arrival. And again, it's really for anyone who, for whatever reason, like you just want love, right? You just want love. Romantic love, by the way, romantic love. And I am looking for high vibrational love. Our guides know that, but I just want you to know that. So, what I'm going to do, um, I am going to let Mother Mary open up the reading or give it, or the honor of Mother Mary, just to see if there's anything that may want to come from there, any special messages. But then what we're going to do for the questions, I'm going to use the Tarot of Dreams. And I am going to pull from the top, but well, they are pre-shuffled. They're really shuffled well, but we'll shuffle them again here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one card above. So one will be with the um, Gilded Tarot. Interesting how I just forgot the name. And then one below with the Crystal Vision. So, Mother Mary, let's go ahead and give ourselves a little room. But I am going to start with Mother Mary. With all of our guides, knowing what we're looking for, what we're asking for, and any advice along those lines would be great. All right. I kept getting a song in my head. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Holy crap. Okay, wow. I wasn't expecting that, but I am not going to turn them away. And they're all face up. So let's see what Mother Mary has to say. Faith, my granddaughter's name. I have faith in God to heal this situation. For some of you, you could certainly talk about, I want to say a relationship, but maybe something that's not, it feels like it's not going in your favor. Um, but then I get this feeling also of how things can turn around. So for some of you, I do feel that. Like there's going to be something that turns around, like turns a relationship around. Okay. We have patience, which always reminds me of temperance. I trust in divine timing. So, patience, or I mean, temperance's first message is patience. And you can see this unicorn is being very patient, right? Not like trying to jump over the fence. I feel like this unicorn, which is really us, um, it's like instinctively we'll know when it's time to move. So again, faith. I have faith in God to heal this situation. And then we get patience. I trust in divine timing. And we have, wow, beautiful signs. Sun, sun, everywhere, sun. I watch for, notice, and trust the signs that heaven continuously sends. Well, we are talking about love here. So these signs will be about love. Good news is you have the beautiful energy of divine, right? Right next to signs, even the energy of God. So these signs, I feel like, are going to be pretty clear. And I feel like these are signs that will be hard to miss. You could, but that's probably why we have trust in divine timing first and foremost. And then we have prayers. So interesting because, again, I have faith in God to heal this situation and then prayers. Instead of worrying, I pray about this situation to bring about real solutions. Well, that's exactly what I feel is happening here. So, signs are going to be really important for us. Um, I'm not going to keep them all out because, I just don't like the desk like cards everywhere. But we'll remember them. But I am going to keep signs out because I feel like that's going to be important. They're all important, but signs are what's going to help guide you. Let's just put it that way. All right, so let's go ahead and give the Troy Dreams a couple shuffles. And again, already pre shuffled, but I want to shuffle them for you with you here. And this is one of those types of readings where there's really no deadline on it. It's like when you find it or it finds you, and I have a feeling it would be intuitively, it would be a sign. So some of you have received a sign to watch this reading, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right, so they are ready. I don't even want to look myself. And let's give the crystal vision. We're going to do one more because I didn't really love that shuffle. There is resistance. Yeah, resistance. Beautiful. All right. Put them right there. And then I know some people are going to be like, why didn't you do this before? I did do it before. Um, but I also like to do it with you here, for a couple different reasons. I feel like it just helps me pick up on your energy even more. But I also feel like it deletes any doubt, you know. All right. So let's put them just like this. I'm going to bring the lid down, not too far. All right. Let me grab a final drink of coffee. And what I would say is take a moment, just relax your energy, just kind of go with the flow. Don't forget about signs. So there will be signs in this reading that I feel are going to be very clear for some of you. That's why I really want you to trust your intuition and try not to overthink it. That first initial instinct, it's probably right. So, all right, let's go. Number one, what's blocking me from inviting love into my life? Six of Swords. Moving away from toxicity. There's some type of toxicity around you. And you need to leave it. You need to move from it. You need to recognize it and then say no more. And that's exactly what this person is doing in the Six of Swords. They're moving on. Whether that means physically, like I'm jumping in my car, I'm out of here. Jumping on a jet plane. All of a sudden, what's that song? Jump. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, so it's pretty clear that there's some type of toxic energy around you. And when I say toxic, what I mean is because it can mean many different things, but it is stifling you. It's stifling your growth. And in this reading, it's stifling love. So, who could that be? Or what energy is that? I feel like that's a question that you really want to answer yourself. But I have a feeling we're going to get a little help here. So let's take the crystal vision, judgment. This is your spiritual team, and they are calling you to the present moment. I am so happy to see this. And what does judgment do? They send you signs. And I feel like one of the signs already is anything that's toxic, anything that's been holding you back. I get this feeling that you do need to be a little bold, you know. Temperance talks, or I'm sorry, judgment talks about a rebirth, but a rebirth of your life, It can talk about a rebirth within love. But again, anything that's toxic, even if this is love that already exists, but for whatever reason, like we haven't come together, I feel like the answer would lie back within the Five of Swords. But anyways, the judgment is calling you to the present moment. That's good. That's good. And judgment is also about truth, real truth. It's funny. I want to do a podcast where I talk about a spiritual awakening, and many people claim they've had them, but then they believe like lies. With judgment, I feel like it is the truth, like the truth. So, also being very truthful with yourself. Why lie to yourself? Maybe you had been for a while. And, sometimes when I see the Six of Swords, because you're moving on from the five, and five does talk about change. So the change may have been hard. It's like some people have hard times with change, but judgment and signs, it could not be better. All right, let's take the crystal, or I mean the Why do I keep forgetting the name? Gilded Tarot. We have the Knight of Swords. Communication. This is what Judgment is trying to get your ear. Some type of communication. But it's after the leaving of the toxicity. It's after that. So that feels like that is first and foremost. Now, sometimes the Five of Swords can be our own thought system. You know, like, do we value ourselves enough that we know that we deserve, the highest form of love, but we also have to be able to give it. That's the law of attraction. But because Judgment is here, Signs is here, I feel like for the majority of you, this Five of Swords, even if it's not behind you yet, I feel like it will be soon. And maybe this reading is going to help. So, some type of communication. And if mirroring Judgment, and I literally just said Judgment is about the truth. So, this means this communication is truthful. Could be a conversation. If it's something of the past, then maybe it's a real conversation to work through certain issues. We'll see, but let's keep going. So, what can I do to prepare myself for the arrival of love? I feel like you're already doing that in the Six of Swords. That's the Chariot. So, balance, balance. Believing in unlimited potential, believing that love can be great. The Chariot, it really does represent unlimited potential, but it does need the balance of the feminine and the masculine, of the light and the shadow. I often relate this to like if you buy a brand new car, they deliver it to you, but all the tires are flat. Well, hello. I don't have, I can't inflate the tires myself. So, but it's true balance. And it's the belief in sometimes the impossible. Things are only impossible until they become possible. But that feels like great news. By the way, that is a card of Cancer. I really wasn't going to give signs, but something told me to say that. Okay, so let's take Crystal Vision above that. King of Pentacles. So we're asking how you can prepare yourself for the arrival of love. So when I see the King of Pentacles, first of all, I feel like this is someone who looks at the big picture. I'm not really feeling this as a person. I'm feeling it more as the energy it would help us to take on. So, the King of Pentacles in the upright is loyal. This may talk about, for some who have a hard time showing emotions, that's something you want to learn, like how to show emotions. Because the one thing with the King of Pentacles is he shows love through actions, maybe not so much through like words of endearment. Can be Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Actually, Taurus, but it don't really matter. Look at this. The Nine of Cups. What can I do to prepare myself for the arrival of love? The Nine of Cups, inner harmony. First of all, a nine, singular. But here you are, happy. So, this is also about fulfillment of wishes. But first, the inner harmony. It's like this person's raising a cup, making a cheer. like there's something that's going to be worth cheering about. And I feel like once the Six of Swords happens, that toxicity is behind you. You're starting to think in, like there are no limits. I deserve to have good love, but I'm also ready to give good love. Some of you, it can be you are now single, but the question is, what can I do to prepare myself? Inner harmony. I feel like that's it. Finding that inner harmony. And that Six of Swords is going to, I feel like, be the ticket. So this feels like really good news to me. And look at all the cups. They're just flowing. Okay. So let's ask the next question. What qualities will my potential partner have? Again, I wrote down a bit of a clue. Oh, the tower. Now, I have to tell you, I don't feel like this is saying that this person is going to come in and give a tower. I feel the strength of this tower. This tower is made of gold. This tower has been struck by lightning over and over again, but it's still standing. You don't see that very often with the towers. So I have a feeling this is someone who has been through a lot, but also, has come out the other, like, stronger than ever. So I feel like this is someone who is going to have really strong morals. And I feel like they themselves have gone through these towers, like these lightning strikes or different things that have happened in their life. So I feel like one of the things you're going to recognize about them is their inner strength, you know, because I feel like we know a conversation's going to happen, and it feels like it's happening like in good, really good energy. So getting to know each other, and both of you certainly could have been, and I already feel like you have, like both of you, I feel like have gone through these towers. But this is talking about the person, your potential love. So I want to say someone who is very strong, who has not had it that easy in life, but gets back up, gets back up. You know, this makes me feel like that the person themselves has a very strong foundation. So their morals are intact. Their belief systems, doesn't mean that they are rigid and aren't open to new experiences. Like, let's say you're very spiritual and they're very like earthly. Well, this is where we can really learn from each other. All right, well, let's take a crystal vision. The Knight of Wands, passionate, passionate. It's also fast moving energy. And it's interesting because it's coming above the tower. So I feel like this person, even though they've gone through these towers, I feel, they've probably done some reflection in their own lives, but I feel like it's not stopping them because I feel like they want a partner. They want a partner, a real partner. And then we have the devil, part of Capricorn. Interesting, because this normally talks about temptations, and maybe part of what this person has overcome are certain temptations, like Maybe back in the day I drank a lot and realized that if I keep that up, I won't be successful. King of Pentacles wants success, is very good at creating success. So I feel like there's just that realization. What's interesting though, it doesn't show it in this image. A lot of times you'll see in tarot decks, I hope it comes out in one of the decks, but you'll see the devil's influence, like the devil's up here and the lovers are down here. And you see, well, let's just say the shadow's influence over the lovers. And the devil is great at casting illusions, making us feel stuck when we're really not, making us feel we can't overcome when we really can. So I feel like this person has dealt with their shadow self, let's say. And I feel like that's good news. Now listen, they're not going to be perfect because there is no such thing. We're not perfect, they're not perfect, but we can make perfect harmony together. All right, so how can I recognize and welcome love when it arises? Page of Cups, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in your inner child, in your intuition. You are going to feel it. You know, butterflies. You're going to have butterflies. You're going to feel like you did when you were a teenager and when you fell in love. You're going to feel it. It's going to make you feel like a kid again. It's going to be exciting, but I feel romantic. And I'm not saying like right out of the gate, but because we do have Judgment calling us to the present moment, the Knight of Cups, fast moving energy, Six of Swords, someone's moving on. But how you gonna know? You're gonna feel it. Oh my gosh. Hello, Ten of Cups. How do you welcome it? Well, look at it. The Ten of Cups. I feel like if we keep in mind that we truly do need to be what it is that we want in our life, right? Like, I can ask for a great love, but if I'm still hung up back, in the toxicity, it's going to be very hard for me to give what is needed to, you know. Now, I'm not going to say that love can't find you in the Five of Swords. It can. But this is how we can, like I feel like why would I want to take that toxicity and bring it forward with me? I don't think I do. Oh my gosh, and the star. So again, the question, how can I recognize and welcome love when it arises? Believe in it. This is about, what's interesting? We have the Nine of Cups, right? Which talks about number one, inner fulfillment. Number two, fulfillment of wishes. Well, here is the wish card, and it is mirroring the Ten of Cups with your inner child right in between it. The star is about your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, but about manifesting them. Your spiritual team knows that. And right now, if I just stop right this moment, we have Judgment mirroring the Ten of Cups, which is mirroring the star, which is mirroring the Knight of Cups. I mean, how will I know? You're gonna know. You're gonna feel it. That's the clue. You're going to feel it. And it may even scare you a little. Like, oh, Do I trust these butterflies? Well, that's what the Nine of Cups is about, right? When you find that inner harmony, and for some of you, it may be you've just become single. It's interesting. I was telling um, Sam and I were having a conversation, and I was saying how when I left the person I was with before, I reconnected with Sam. Um, I got myself an apartment, and I was in that Nine of Cups because I said I felt so free. I felt free. I wasn't free for long because Sam called within 2 weeks of my newfound freedom. But nonetheless, and it had nothing to do with the other person either. I just felt free. So that might be a clue. Okay. Um, Last but not least, what lessons from my past relationships can help me in this future love? Look at that. The devil again. Now, this is an interesting image because these are the illusions the devil can cast. This person, they're in a cage, right? They feel like they can't get out of that cage. That's an illusion. The door is wide open. So it's the illusion that's holding this person in place. You know, I hope this doesn't hurt, but I feel like for some, it really is the realization that you had to free yourself. You had to see past the illusions. And that's part of what your spirituality does for you. Gives you power over the dark. Remember that. You have power over the dark. So, this is about your past. Again, that door is wide open. Number one, I feel like understand that you're never really stuck. Now, I know that we can feel it. Trust me, I know it. But this is about the lessons from the past. And I do love that it's mirroring the Six of Swords. So I feel like those lessons have been learned. It's almost like the reclaiming of one's power. We do have double Capricorn on the table, by the way. The star is a card of Aquarius. I know. I'm not giving signs again. But let's keep going. Look at this, the Three of Swords. I can tell you, I feel it right away. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. This is heartache, loss, but it's already happened. Now, the devil may keep you, or let's say the shadow may keep you tied to a certain energy when you yourself know that it's just not serving you. It can talk about, let's say, a relationship that you've given three chances, and each time you end up with a sword in your heart. So remember, we're asking the question, what lessons from my past relationships can help me in my future love? And I definitely feel this is, I have to find a way to let it go, put it behind me. Some of you, I feel like this is showing your own growth, like your spiritual growth, and, just growth in period. But I definitely feel spiritual growth. All right, let's take, oh my gosh, look at this. Soulmates. soulmates, mirroring the Three of Swords. I get this feeling that I may have given someone the title of a soulmate, and they may have been a soulmate, but if they were a karmic soulmate. And that is probably the case. Remember that there are different levels to love, even different levels to soulmates. Some soulmates come in for a moment. Maybe we're starting to head down a path that our spiritual team is like, oh, that's not good for her or him. So soulmate may come in and just kind of like get you back on that path again, and then they're gone. Some soulmates definitely are here to help teach you lessons, and vice versa. So if it was a soulmate, it definitely, especially with the devil right above it and the Three of Swords mirroring it. Now here's the good news. As I'm saying all this, I'm also feeling that the soulmates is what's also going to be new. So if you're in an existing, let's say, on again, off again relationship, but you find yourself, you know, feeling stuck, or you find yourself taking these daggers over and over, no one can do anything but you. It's you who needs to reclaim your power. You have to understand you're not stuck. And this is what's happening here in the Six of Swords, mirroring um the devil. It's like this is you moving on. And I always look at what's mirroring each other. So we also have the Knight of Swords mirroring the Two of Cups, soulmates. So communication. You know, this looks like it can be a very good love. I feel like judgment coming out so quickly in your reading. And then Mother Mary giving us the message of signs. Well, judgment is the one who gives you the signs, and your angels. When I say judgment, I mean your whole spiritual team, your spirit guides, your angels, your archangels. But angels need your permission to, you know, to help, let's say. Where spirit guides are always sending you signs. I'm sure there were some red flags. And don't beat yourself up over that, because we all ignore red flags here and there. I mean, first half of my life, that's probably all I did was ignore the red flags and then paid the price. But now, sign, everywhere a sign. I'm telling you, that's my life. I see the signs everywhere. All right, let's see what's on the bottom of each deck. Hello, world. Hello, new chapter right next to judgment. You know, we are leaving a 9-year cycle, which I know some of you are tired of me saying, but it's the truth. And then we're opening up a brand new 9 years. I say it often because I want you to understand that we're in the year of the hermit, and it is about reflection. How do I want my life to look? But also the willingness to put action behind it. So I know something is toxic. Am I going to stay? Am I going to accept it? I feel like for a while I did, but maybe it's because I kind of felt stuck, or I have a hard time with change. So if you have a hard time with change, but you moved into the Six of Swords anyways, be proud of yourself. That's how your spiritual team looks at your life. It's not with judgment, like, oh, look at her. There she goes again with that guy again. It's not about that. They only want the best for you. And they have a job to do. All right, let's see what's on the bottom of. Hello, Temperance. Trusting in divine timing. How beautiful is that, though? First of all, that this love is being ushered in from the highest energy of all, right? This isn't about like free will choices. This feels almost like predestined love. Now, maybe it's not everyone it's predestined, um, but I do feel like for everyone, it is talking about a soulmate energy because I'm not interested in in our team. Our spiritual team knows that. Like, I'm not interested in like, okay, someone I'm going to date for a week or two. I want to know where my true love is, the one that I can create my life with forever. Nine of Wands. Interesting. Nine of Wands, I call this person my spirit warrior. Why? Because this is about reflection. This is the type of reflection I'm talking about. Like, this is good reflection. This is someone who's looking at these wands as, you know, everything I've overcome, the adventures that I've had. This is about understanding how strong you are now because of these experiences. We could say lessons, and maybe there were lessons, but this is the representation of you overcoming, and not just overcoming, but extracting the wisdom of it. That's why I call this person my spirit warrior, because I feel like once we do that type of reflection, and that's really what our team wants us to do, like give yourself a pat on the back, say congratulations to yourself. So, the world, the next chapter. Judgment is saying soon, because judgment wants you in the present moment. They are sending you signs. We know that. Mother Mary is backing it up. And it's interesting because if you look at this line, where what you're going to feel, I already know. Like, I already know. I know the feeling myself. It's like when Sam reached out, like, and I was a grown adult, but I felt like a kid again. That's what I feel you're going to feel. There will be butterflies. This person carries a lot of passion and they're going to make it be known. And that may be a little uncomfortable, but just for a moment. Maybe the best thing to do if there's any fear, because, love is scary. But what's that saying? It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Well, if you're in the middle of heartache, you're like, bullshit. But if you're in the Nine of Cups, you get it. Because everything teaches us something. And we are also the teacher. And I also know you. I know you're on a soul level. So I know many of you naturally carry healing energy. And I feel this sense of you feeling good when you're able to use that energy free and clear. It's almost like your past experiences, in a way, have given you empathy and compassion that maybe you wouldn't have had otherwise. Sometimes I feel like it's a difference of living like just an earthly life or a spiritual life. Because the one thing we want to remember is that we are spiritual beings first and foremost in these human bodies. Why? To have these experiences, to learn. The soul wants to grow. The soul wants to evolve. The soul wants to become the master teacher. Judgment. I need your attention. Temperance. It's about divine timing. Well, I feel like divine timing is very, very soon. The world. A brand new chapter. What the world, with the world, that means there is a completion. Well, I hope it's that Five of Swords. But even for the other person, because I feel like they're dealing with their own towers. But, I definitely feel this other person feels their inner strength. They must be, let's say, acknowledging that they're on a spiritual path. Because many don't. Many don't live within their spirituality. They live within their religion. uh, I have nothing against religion. That's not why I'm laughing. I'm just thinking how many times I hear or see, you know, people, with their religion, but then the way they live their lives is like, please, please keep it to yourself. So, anyway, um, let's go ahead and close the reading because I don't want to overread this. I feel like it's pretty clear. So let's bring in the clarifying love situations. And we'll let them be the cherry on top. This really is quite an abundant reading. If you are looking at it, let's say from your soul's point of view, which means like fear, and again, it's normal to have a little fear. Like we shouldn't freak out about that. But sometimes that fear is going to show in different ways, like again, butterflies. I definitely feel like you're going to get excited. And I love the judgment is in the same line of the Ten of Cups. So, and I'm not interested again in like short little dating things. What I just realized though is we have the Nine of Cups first, that inner fulfillment. And it's like put those intentions out there. Then look, we get the Nine of Cups, inner fulfillment, fulfillment of wishes. It's in the same line as the wish card. But then it is the Ten of Cups is following that. So I'm just trying to point out the potential. If I was with a karmic soulmate, well, this, my friends, feels like a soulmate that has a potential, or the two of you has a potential for the rest of your lives. Like sometimes these towers, we think they're here to hurt us. Sometimes they're here to help us, teach us, move us, where maybe we were a little afraid to move. Sometimes it doesn't give us an option anymore. All right. We got quite a few. Not quite a few. We got three. Shadowed waters. Beware illusions that skim the surface, for true understanding lies in the deep. That kind of sounds like the shadow energy. We have peaceful parallel. Harmony flows, lies align, basking in the serene glow of peace. Wow. Harmony flows, lives align, basking in the serene glow of peace. Bound by demands, stifled by expectations, it's time to redefine limits and reclaim freedom. Freedom, freedom. Okay, you know what? I think I am going to bring the romance angels out and then let it be. It's funny because I feel like I can hear, like when someone's like, I feel like someone just said, "Oh, bring out the romance angels," and so I shall. All right, getting to know you, getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. Getting to know each other, getting to know each other. I kind of love this image because this man seems like he's trying to win over this woman. This woman has a child. The child is right there. It's like we are a package deal. I don't feel like that bothers this man at all. Like, look at him in like this state of attention. She kind of looks like she's being wooed. Like, I feel like she's totally enjoying this conversation, let's say. And I feel like that's connecting back to the Knight of Cups or the Knight of Swords, which is mirroring judgment, which we know is truth. Oh my God. You know, I want to say thank you to your angels, to our spiritual team. I say our spiritual team because number one, we're all soul connected, but I feel like our spiritual teams work together. Like my spiritual team contacts your spiritual team. How beautiful. I'm so glad whoever was yelling, bring out the romance angels. Maybe it was one of my spirit guides, but I heard it. True love. True love. This is a romance of a lifetime. Of a lifetime. Ten of Cups. This is a romance of a lifetime. This is your true love. Amen. And so it is. And so it is. I love you guys. I love our spiritual team. They never let us down. I feel like they give us such clear readings. And yes, I guess it depends when you watch a reading or even listen to a reading. Um, are you listening with your earthly ears or your spiritual ears? Because you may not pick it up all the time, if you're listening with your earthly ears, or let's say I'm still in that Five of Swords type of energy. Well, this is giving you a snapshot of what can be, right? But we do have to learn to also reclaim our own power. But my God, thank you. I don't know what else to say. Thank you. This is your true love. Mm-mm-mm. Look at that. There's Cupid in the background. But just the way they're embracing each other, that feeling. And so it is. Love you. I thank you. Cannot wait to read your comments. And I mean that. I have a feeling some don't even care about comments. I love your comments. It takes me a while to reply back, I'll be honest. But I read them the minute they come in. So thank you, thank you. Well, I'm just going to let this be. I'm going to let it be. And so it is. See you next time at our table. Bye bye. So glad I did this reading.